Alright guys, HyDra back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Big rumours emerging last night as to the potential future of the Call of Duty League. The sister league in the Activision Blizzard Esports division in the Overwatch League has effectively called it a day here at Esports, and the teams that hadn't yet paid all of the money they owed are now getting that fee actually waived. Could something similar happen in the Call of Duty League going forwards? That seems very probable indeed, especially with Microsoft coming in, probably going to think about shutting down the league entirely, dissolving the league, and go to a model that they've pretty much done over in Halo for the last couple of seasons. Is this going to be good or bad for the CDL? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. This is, I think Kimchi put this together, actually a quality AI generated image of Octane, the absolute hill kitten last season. Has been some questions as well, what the meta should be. You guys saw the Striker and effectively the ACR in the beta that were pretty much the go-to weapons. I wonder whether that will be the case when the game actually launches, or whether there's a chance that there's something else going on, maybe even the Vaznev or, the TAC make their return into the meta. I kind of doubt it. It'll probably just be a two-weapon meta again, because the way the Gunsmith works, it just promotes a two-weapon meta as far as I'm concerned, but that's probably not really going to be changing anytime soon. One big question is the third game mode. I know that JP put together his kind of opinions on, well, what the third game mode could be. So there's War/Momentum. We looked at that game mode yesterday. Not really going to be my favorite. Demolition is an option. I don't really like it. CTF is probably what I would choose if I had to choose one. But, there are plenty of other options. He hasn't even included Domination, which I think is probably wise. Control is here, and that will be... Control was kind of revealed as the one that the CDL will be going for, but it doesn't necessarily mean the pros can't change their mind on that. Gridiron was boots on the ground uplink, and honestly, right at the start of World War II, there was a very close vote between the teams, between choosing Gridiron and CTF. They went for CTF in the end, so you'd think that a similar vote might happen this time around between CTF and, say, Control. Third hardpoint, third search is an option. I don't want to see a third search. Third hardpoint I could take, but third search would be one step too far, to be honest. And then Team Defender, game modes like Safeguard, Sabotage, there's other options, but that's pretty much your list. Now, EasyMac as well put together his kind of ask for the commissioner, right, Daniel Sai and the guys at the CDL to put together. And what we're going to discuss in a second makes me think that, this is kind of the last attempt, I think, for the league to get some of these things right, because I think this might be, at least in the current format we have, I think this is probably the last year of the Call of Duty League as we know it. Maybe one more year, but with what we're going to discuss in a second, I think that there's definitely conversations behind the scenes as to what the future looks like, especially under the Microsoft umbrella. And even if the Microsoft thing didn't happen, there's a good chance that it was trending in this way anyway, as, let's be honest, many of us predicted when this was first announced at the start of 2019. So EasyMac says these are the things he would change, and as I believe, this is like the final time to get these things right, because otherwise, the CDL probably won't exist in the same way anymore. Maybe that's going to be good, maybe that's going to be bad. Austin wants best of 9 grand finals. This is also my preference, to be honest. I know that people like the double best of 5s, but as far as I'm concerned, sometimes those series are super underwhelming. A hot 3 over the team from winners, and it's over. Doesn't really test the map pool of the teams either. So I prefer best of 9. 1-0 advantage is my personal preference. Trophies for every event detailed with each team or city, which is a good one. Teams also shouldn't be playing the first or last game. This for us fans is kind of like not so relevant, but the teams, they get frustrated about stuff like this, especially OpTic, that are often like closing and opening the show, as it were, which kind of used to frustrate them, which I get. This one on the ping tool, I don't really mind so much about this either way. What I do think they do need to do a better job of is just, the content on the Call of Duty League platform needs to be better attuned to people that maybe don't watch every single game, so they can catch up and understand what's happening. More pro-ams would always be welcome, right? Just, even as he says, 4 a year, which I think is very optimistic, but in an ideal world, even as he says, like 16 team online versions, the top teams from the elite and then the pro teams, bounty match money. This is the thing, right? These bounty match money games that they put up like 120 grand to deliver over the last year. Like, did that money really make much difference? I doubt it. That money could have gone to better use, I think. Also, the return of potential 2Ks and 5Ks. This was, if you guys have been around for a few years, you'll know, like, let's say early Advanced Warfare, or even early Black Ops 4, when the CMG Pro Downs were big. This is pre-CDL. Those Pro Down tournaments were massive, and yeah, sure, the 2Ks, 5Ks might not have been great, but some sort of, like, you know, online S&D classic, like, you know, Ryder Cup style, NA vs EU. Austin's got all these good ideas, but, you know, actually making this stuff happen just doesn't seem to happen ever. And the CDL just waits around until the actual season starts before anything really happens, which is probably not the best. This is actually quite a big one as far as I'm concerned. Balancing online and LAN CDL points a bit better. It's a big problem last year, especially given that there's rumours that there's going to be quite a lot of online play this year, shall we say. So I am definitely hoping that it's not just 10 points for an online win and effectively 10 points for a LAN win. It needs to be 5 points online. That would be my preference, or just double the LAN points. Like, that would be the way I would look at it, because to me, LAN is what really should matter. But the last couple of years, people are making champs off winning online, which is not the best. As we mentioned before, just doing a better job recapping and having like actual videos so people can follow along with the elite and stuff like that in challenges that isn't really able to be done. And also, I remember there was all this talk about, you know, the community update videos, and they still kind of existed, but they started off quite strong with Daniel Sai and Spinner Spence did them right, and then, you know, they did a few, and then over time they kind of did a less and less, and they don't really happen that much anymore. So, you know, that would be nice. But as I say, I don't think many of these things will happen. I think really what's going on right now in the CDL is just maintaining what they presently have until it changes, which it will. And this is one of the big indications as to exactly why. So Overactive Media, they are the ownership group of Toronto Ultra, Toronto Defiant, and that organisation over there. They confirmed in a press release yesterday the outstanding Overwatch League entry fees have been waived. So this was an article they put out a few months ago, press release actually from June the 5th, where they said they'd come up with a sponsorship agreement which included the league revenue share, sponsorship agreement, whatever that meant, and elimination of entry fees valued at 10.8 million Canadian dollars. Now, they then confirmed yesterday, I'm guessing, which is the entry fee portion of that, which is 8.2 million Canadian dollars, US 6 million has been waived. So that was confirmed yesterday. Now, just to clarify, this league, when you had to buy in, was I think it was about a $20 million entry fee. It came around a couple of years before the CDL did, which arrived in late 2019, going into 2020, of course, and that was a $25 million entry fee, as I'm sure you guys know. That's what people call it, the $300 million league, because 25 times 12 is $300 million. But, you know, it doesn't feel like it's that level of quality. So let's say Overwatch League for a second, $20 million entry fee. Now, the league has confirmed that if the teams vote, which is what Adam Adamu says here, there's a going forward vote to effectively shut down the league and call it a day. This is almost certainly going to be accepted, I think. We don't know, but I would expect the teams will vote to say, you know what, this isn't really working for all parties, let's just end it. And Activision have said, all right, if you do agree to end it, we'll pay you $6 million to effectively go away and make us forget all about this. Now, that's not the $6 million that he's talking about from the waived entry fees. So, as he says, they're coincidentally both $6 million, but that's unrelated. So, if they call it off and say, you know what, we're just going to call this a day in the league, they get $6 million paid to them by Activision for deciding to do so, and then they're going to get another $6 million because that's what they haven't yet paid. So let's say they've paid $14 million out of the $20 million. They usually pay on like a rolling schedule, so they might pay something every single year, and the same thing will be happening in the Call of Duty League. There's roughly $6 million of that left they haven't yet paid. They'll get that waived, so they kind of get $6 million back of their $20 million, and they get another $6 million. So, you know, yeah, okay, it's still making a loss, but it's not the absolute end of the world. Now, the question is, could this happen in the Call of Duty League as well? Would they also decide, Activision Blizzard, to waive the entry fees that the teams have not yet paid? And Jacob Hale says, yeah, this is going to happen. Now, whether he's saying this just because he thinks that it will, as I think that it will, or whether he's saying this, I mean, he sounds pretty, you know, resolute on this. I mean, you know, Ant asks, could we ever see similar for the CDL teams? JKL says, yes, absolutely. And sounds to me like he knows that this is, at least conversations around this are happening, which I'm sure they are. I mean, let's be honest. If they've just waived the league fees for the Overwatch League, then it's pretty obvious that the same owners, as there are many similar owners, are going to be saying, all right, well, you're waiving our entry fees that we haven't yet paid for the OWL, when we're going to do that for the CDL. And honestly, of that $25 million, I don't know how much of that has yet been paid by the teams, but it's probably a lower percentage than in the Overwatch League, where we said in the Overwatch League maybe they've paid, 14 million of the 20 million or something like that. In the Call of Duty League, how many teams have paid more than half of the 25 million? To be honest, I have no idea on the numbers. I did hear a rumor that like one of the teams has paid all of the money, which I don't think was particularly wise, if that's true even. It might not be true, but okay, let's say the teams have paid 10 million already of that 25 million. Maybe they get the rest of that 15 million waived for free, because let's be honest, if they don't do that, these teams are probably going to take Activision Blizzard to court. I mean, they will sue them. This is how it's going to go, because these teams were offered this, they were shown the PowerPoint presentations that said it was going to grow like this, and Activision Blizzard and Bobby Kotick knew that those were very optimistic predictions, but his sports friends got in on the promise of this, and I think this is what Richard Lewis has said as well, that if they don't waive these entry fees, these teams will just say, you know what, let's just, let's sue these guys because they promised us this for this money and that's not what's been delivered at all. So Activision are going to have to be like, oh, sorry guys, yeah, you can, whatever, have that money back, it's fine. But of course, it's not necessarily Activision that are making the decisions now, because Microsoft are coming in. And we know full well, it seems at least, that they perceive esports differently to how Activision Blizzard have done over the last few years. The way that Microsoft run everything over in Halo is a more traditional MLG-esque model. Okay, not run by MLG anymore, because actually Microsoft now own MLG again, because they just bought Activision, who owned MLG but didn't really use that property over the last several years. So I think generally I'm optimistic about what Microsoft might do here, but there's no doubt in my mind that Phil Spencer will come in, and whoever's going to make the calls over at Microsoft look at the Call of Duty League and think, this doesn't really make any sense. You've got these teams that are city-based, that's a bit strange, and I think it's inevitable that the Call of Duty League dissolves, and probably what happens is the teams get waived their fees. Question is, what does that mean for the league? You've got teams like Toronto Ultra and under the overactive media heading. How do they transition that into the next stage? If those teams want to keep in the league, as they probably do, but the money side probably doesn't work at the moment, there's got to be a way that Microsoft say, all right, whatever, we inherited these errors from Activision Blizzard, we might pay you guys out something, or, whatever, just to make the books balance, and then let's run it back in a different, Call of Duty World League style or whatever. Probably optimistic thinking from my side that it's just going to magically return to the CWL and all it's going to be sunshine and rainbows again. I doubt it's going to be that straightforward. And maybe we do get like one more year after this season of the Call of Duty League as it presently is, because, in the same way that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision was complicated and marred by, months of legal drama, just shutting down the league and then restarting the league in a different form is not exactly an easy thing to accomplish either. So, but I'm sure there's conversations about it. There's absolutely no chance. There will be leaks over the coming months, no doubt, from some of the meetings that I'm sure the teams are having behind the scenes. I'm like, all right, what do we actually do about this? I'm sure Hex is there thinking, all right, maybe I can just become OpTic Gaming again and we can align everything across the different esports, which is probably where it will end up. How quickly we can get back to that point, how easily we might be able to get back to the point, we really just don't know at the moment. And, maybe that doesn't even happen in the first place. But I would imagine that Microsoft will invest somewhat in upholding the esports side of this. They might not be as keen as Activision were, but I'm sure there will be, to some extent, a future of the Call of Duty League, but we don't really know what form that is going to be at the moment, or really what it actually might be called. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Gotta get yo, this is like, can you play the small maps? Well, why are these guys squaring, bro? I have the notes in my. Oh my god. Oh my god. Where's it at? Where kill attack? What's up? Oh my god. Oh my god. We live. Kilimanjaro. Don't give me this much dope. Where are they at?